Good evening. I'm Thurman Greco, and this is the program Let's Live. And I have a guest tonight who's going to introduce herself. We are very excited to have you, Liz. Tell us all about yourself.
Thank you. My name is Liz. I am a registered dietitian. I work at Woodstock Apothecary right here on Tinker Street, very close to where we are. I run the nutrition program. So we talk about all kinds of supplements at work. We do free nutrition counseling, and I run the whole program.
Let me ask you something. If a person comes, because I know this is a problem I have, and I don't even really go into a store such as yours because I get so overwhelmed by the products.
Yeah.
Can you just come in and say, hey, can you help me?
Oh yeah, we actually try and help you before you even can have the chance to get confused.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I understand. You walk in and there's 12 kinds of calcium and 6 kinds of magnesium and a whole refrigerator of probiotics. And how on earth would you know what's the right one for you? So I don't think anybody should have to go that alone.
Yeah.
You should always have a partner in that, and that's something that we do. We're there to help give you exactly what's perfectly tailored for you.
That is really helpful
Yeah.
because things cost a lot of money.
Oh yeah,
And if it's the right product, it's going to save you money.
it will.
But if it's the wrong product, it's a waste of money. So you help people. What happens if you have a child? What are some disease? Because like you have a child.
I do.
And there are things that are going around now. What are going around with children now? What are some
Well,
ailments, problems?
it's so tough to have young children because children are building their immune systems. As we're older, our immune systems are much more evolved and grown. So we're sort of immune to so many viruses and things that nature. But kids need to grow their immune system. They need to build it. So they're always more susceptible to illnesses than we are. So kids are always the sniffles, a cough. We see this all the time. Strep throat goes around rampant, especially if you have kids in preschool or school. Pink eye. Oh.
Is that going around now?
I feel like pink eye is just always going around, and you always need to be really careful. I know, my own little one, she's 4.5, she's in preschool, and she's gotten it 3 times since school started. It's just teaching your children all about hygiene and teaching them it's important to wash your hands after you use the bathroom. And we kind of think that they'll just get it, but I've noticed with kids you have to be repetitious with things like that because they just don't get it. We can teach them, but their brains just aren't ready to handle all that, those things. So it's good to teach them washing your hands before you eat, after you go to the bathroom, and it really can make a huge difference. But so many kids are getting, sick. It's just normal this time of year. And I'm even noticing a newer type of strep throat that's going around where the only symptom is frequent urination and nothing else. And I've seen this, my own child's had it a few times. I know lots of other children in the area have had it too, so I think that's interesting to look out for. Even our pediatrician, who was my pediatrician, hadn't heard of it, but no symptoms besides frequent urination, yet she tested positive for strep throat. So I always think that's interesting. I've been telling moms, if your child's exhibiting this, have the doctor do a throat culture just to see. It can't hurt. Is that interesting?
Wow.
I think that's fascinating.
Wow.
Yeah. So,
Well, what do you do for a pink eye?
well, with pink eye, I've seen something over the counter that says pink eye relief. It's a certain brand of eye drops, but honestly, it will give relief maybe to the eye, but nothing will kill pink eye other than like an eye antibiotic. So it needs to be from your doctor. So if your child's exhibiting symptoms of a bright, the whites of the eyes are bright and pink, and if you look at the conjunctiva right under in here, and if that's bright pink, red. If the child's waking up when do you have children?
I have. Oh yes.
Yes,
Oh yes. That was the scourge.
When you wake up and they have all the gook and the pus crusting their eye. Those are the classic symptoms of pink eye, and so that would be your sure sign to not let them go to school because it's so contagious. Bring them to the doctor and have them get checked out.
So that is something that you do have to go to the physician for.
It is.
Not only did I'm very susceptible to pink eye. And not only when my children were growing up, I caught it every time my children had it.
Oh.
I also caught it every time their friends had it. And I have caught conjunctivitis from dogs.
Oh my, it's really contagious. I mean,
Yes.
it's like so easy to get. So I mean, I guess in that instance, hand washing is the most important because truly, really, it's bacteria that it comes usually from fecal matter, which is horrible thinking about, but it spreads so easily. And you know, like one person not washing their hands could trigger it in
Yes.
somebody who could trigger it in somebody else. So
Yes.
yeah, it is hard. And you know, something that I've discovered, and I don't want to, you know, dog doctors' offices, but I've really enjoyed like the urgent cares that we have in the area where you can go in and they're just open and it's a quick, easy in, easy out for small things like that. You could go in. You know what I'm talking about? Like
Yes.
the urgent cares, I think that those have been helpful, but I know so many doctors' offices have appointments ready and waiting just for emergent visits like that where they need to be seen that day. Because pink eye is one of those things you do not want to wait on. Any doctor
no,
I've
it's
talked to, they
terrible.
say, like, don't mess with the eye.
Yeah.
Yeah, anything else you maybe could wait a little longer, but don't mess with the eye. Always go as soon as possible because it's just, it's awful.
Well, and it's so contagious. I
And it
mean,
hurts.
you wait a day, and then the kids spread it around all over the place. Another one that I have heard about recently, and I don't know whether it really is kind of spreading around the area, but I've heard reports of impetigo.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yep.
Is there anything you can get across the counter for impetigo?
Generally, since it's viral, it's
Mhm.
very hard to treat. I know some people who get it regularly because it seems to be something that once it's into your system, you get it frequently. Like I've known people that every winter they get impetigo, and it's sort of like when your immune system is sort of fighting a little bit stronger. Maybe the other things, you know, so you're exposed to more colds or maybe the flu, your immune system's fighting more things than it does in the summertime, that impetigo is more likely able to erupt because your immune system isn't able to sort of fight it off or keep it dormant. So, and it is rough. There's really not a whole lot that you can do over the counter. I mean, there are like, you know, like treatments, because a lot of times it'll erupt in the mouth area around the nose. I mean, there are like some ointments that you can apply. Some people for viral outbreaks will take lysine daily. Or red marine algae is also an antiviral. So there are some things over the counter, but usually I would say if it's really bad, you should probably see your doctor.
So you're looking at lysine.
It can help. It's not something that helps everyone. I know especially people who have, you know, viral cold sores, they'll take lysine. Some people take it internally daily, sort of to help prevent as best as it can.
Mm-hmm.
And other times there's like lysine creams that you can apply at the time of outbreak. There's liquids that you can swallow. There's so many preparations. But there's so many things that we're more exposed to in the wintertime because we're having these crazy temperature fluctuations and it's cold and wet and damp and our bodies are just fighting a lot more than they do in the summertime.
Well, now, what is the rule?
Hmm.
Are people still taking flu shots?
Mm-hmm. They are. You know, I think there's such a controversy about flu shots, and you know, I even see I'm part of a mom's group on Facebook, and there's just this up and down, and everybody has their own opinion, and that's fine. At the Apothecary, we absolutely promote flu shots. I had mine on my birthday, which was a week ago, and interesting birthday gift to myself, but I know how important it is, and especially working in a healthcare environment, I wouldn't want to spread the flu to someone who is at risk. You know, somebody my age technically probably could fight off the flu and maybe would not get it. But if you're around children or elderly people who are more at risk for it, you don't want to be carrying that and potentially spread it to them. So I really recommend if you're working with kids or with sick people or older people, it's really, I think, really helpful to get it so that you're not carrying it to them and
Right.
potentially infecting them. So to me and the things that I've researched and really looking into what the additives really are versus the hype of what people think that they are, I absolutely would recommend the flu shot, hands down.
Now, do you give flu shots to people under 18?
We don't.
Okay.
We don't, and that's just something as a pharmacy. I'm personally, honestly, not sure if that's a rule, like a law. If at a pharmacy you can't, but we do not.
Okay.
We do
So it's for adults.
It potentially could be a law. I'm honestly not so sure. I'm going to be honest.
Right.
But we really do adults only in the pharmacy. Now, if you have a child, absolutely, the doctor's offices will administer flu shots for you there.
So that's no problem.
Oh yeah.
What kind of are vitamins seasonal? Would you take things? Would you take supplements now that maybe you wouldn't take in July?
Sure.
What supplements are good for this kind of time of year?
For just like basic immune support, and I really want to emphasize immune support. I hate the word immune boost. Because technically, if you boosted your immune system and made it stronger, you could end up with an autoimmune disease. So I always say strengthening your immune system or immune support. One of the biggest things that I love to promote this time of year is black elderberry syrup. I don't know if you're familiar with black
Never
elderberry
heard of
syrup.
it.
My favorite of all of these black elderberry syrups is Gaia brand.
Really?
What's my favorite herb company? They're just so wonderful, so pure, so transparent. They'll tell you anything that's in anything, what the testing was, who packed your product. I mean, they're just a company that's not hiding anything, and that's what you want in herbs. So black elderberry syrup, it tastes sort of like raisins. It doesn't taste horrible. It tastes sort of like raisins, and it's really good for your immune system. It really can help to strengthen your immune system. So they make it for children and they make it for adults, and I absolutely think this time of year we all could be taking it daily just to sort of help strengthen our immune response. And it's even helpful, like say you came down with the flu. You could take a few doses of it daily, and it can even shorten the duration of your flu. You know, it's not going to do that for everyone, but it's been shown to do that, which is great.
Well, now, if you're going to you take the black elderberry syrup.
Yeah.
Would you put it in your protein drink in the morning, or
You can.
would you take a spoonful at night? How would you take this product?
Whatever you want. You could even add it to like seltzer and make yourself a little spritzer and whatever you want.
Whatever, just however.
Yeah, just however you want to take it. And you don't have to do this, but I have found that people who consistently take it do have a better chance of fighting off, the common cold and some of the lighter illnesses that you can come down with this time of year. Most people don't take it in the summertime, so it's usually, I've noticed people coming in a lot more for September, October, when the weather starts to do that flip-flop where some days it's warm, some days it's cold, and we start to get those first colds. I find that, but so many people are on it, they're really happy about it, tastes good. It's hard to get kids to take medicine or supplements if they don't taste good, let's be honest. I mean,
Right.
Getting my own 4-year-old to take anything, is really tough, and you have to sometimes finagle your methods to get them to
Yes.
take these things, like especially fish oil. That's one of the toughest ones I find, but it can be so beneficial for kids. So beneficial, really for adults too.
Yes.
And that's great for your immune function as well, all year round. Is taking fish oil. It just helps reduce inflammation in your body, helps your cells work the best that they can,
Well, now, if you're going to take fish oil,
Yeah.
how do you choose which fish oil? Do fish oils, are they different for different situations, for different people? Or what determines how you choose a fish oil? I guess that's the best question.
Oh, I think that's a really good question. I would say everybody has their own situation, circumstance, things that they're interested in treating. That's why it's so important to have somewhere that you can go that would understand exactly what you have going on so that they can pinpoint a perfect product for you. Because fish oil provides us omega-3 fatty acids that are essential in our body. When I say essential, it means that we need them, but we don't produce them ourselves. So we need to get them through diet or, supplement form. American diets these days don't really provide any omega-3 that would benefit us. So there's two that benefit us. There's EPA and DHA, and they really come from fish oil the best. There is a vegan form that comes from algae, but it's it's not potent, very potent, and it can get very pricey. But there is that out there, which is great if you are vegan or vegetarian. You do have that option. But those are the two omega-3 fatty acids that I really recommend people supplementing with, and they both have different purposes. EPA specifically is really great for inflammation and joint pain and lubrication and immune function, cardiovascular health, stress, and mood. Where DHA, the other one, is helpful for eye development, brain, nervous system, nerves in general. So I think that to have somebody help you find the one that will be the best ratio for you and the best administration type. So would a soft gel be better? Or would a liquid be better? What's the best way to take it for you? Because my goal is to give people something that they would be able and happy to take daily. That's the goal with all supplements. I see far too often people taking things for like 2 weeks and being like, and then stopping taking it or not taking it the proper way and wonder why it's not working for them. So if I can find a perfect method for each person, that's why I like to do everybody individually, because some people will never take a liquid, or somebody else would absolutely love to take a liquid and hate swallowing pills, so try and do. So really look for somebody who knows what they're talking about to help figure out what is best for you.
You just said something totally, for me, mind-blowing,
Oh.
that the American diet does not provide an essential fatty acid. Did you say that?
The American diet provides very little omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA. Very little. So, I mean, generally, if you look at like nutrition textbooks, you would want omega-6 to omega-3 ratio in your diet to be 2 to 1. That would be great. Average American diet provides like 250 to 1 omega-6 to omega-3. Omega-6s are found in like a lot of oils, olive oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, those types of things, where omega-3s are pretty much found in fish. Now is an omega-3 that you would find in flax, in chia, in hemp, and that omega-3 is called ALA, and ALA is not utilized in our body the way that EPA or DHA would be. In very small doses, your body will convert ALA to EPA. I know I'm speaking sciencey right now, but I really want to get the point out that flax, chia, hemp, those are not interchangeable with fish oil, which I think is a big misconception because they're all omega-3s, but they're not
the same.
They're not the
same
same,
thing.
and I think that's a huge misconception, and I almost like see little minds being blown like daily at the store. When I try and tell them that, they're like, what? So that is something I would love to get across, is that those are not interchangeable. They don't provide the same omega-3. Definitely not the same thing. But yeah, the American diet provides very little EPA and DHA. Very, very, very little.
What are we not eating that we should be eating?
Technically, nowadays, really the only place to find these things are in things found in water. So algae and fish. It's really the best place to find these things. And nowadays, farmed fish is everywhere. You go to the grocery stores, it's almost all farmed fish and like maybe a few kinds of wild-caught fish. And farmed fish are not fed the diet they would get in the wild. They're sort of fed fortified food. Sometimes they're fed purified sewage. It's nothing like what they would get in the wild, so their omega-3 content is going to be much less. So to me, I mean personally, to me, just from what I've looked at, farmed fish to me is absolutely pointless. Like as far as omega-3 content. Protein and whatnot, it's still in there, but for my omega-3s, I would never recommend farmed fish. They do give them omega-3 spiked food, but to me it's just not the same. So I always recommend wild-caught fish. But then that brings up the whole controversy of mercury, dioxins, PCBs. So, I mean, generally, because if you want to avoid those things that are out in waters, those contaminants, maybe just don't have fish every day. But then you wouldn't get your omega-3 supplement, or quota every day. So that's what I really recommend, a very good quality purified fish oil that is completely eliminated, for the most part, of PCBs, dioxins, and mercury. The brand that we have at the Apothecary is Nordic Naturals, and they test their fish oil more than any other company. I mean, they test it to the parts per trillion, which is way more than even prescription fish oil is tested for those contaminants. I mean, they go above and beyond, and they third-party test every single batch of fish oil that they have to make sure that they're void of those contaminants. I mean, that's huge. They don't have to do that, but they should, and they do. And that's what we look for at the Apothecary. Companies that, since there's very little regulation in this industry, are they going above and beyond to actually provide a good product with integrity? They say they have in it what they say, and they back up what they say, and they can provide testing results for any batch. I mean, that's huge. It's with fish oil.
And then you talk about algae.
Algae contains EPA and DHA as well, but it's not nearly as potent as fish oil. So I'll give you an example. So at the Apothecary, we've sourced a great source of algae, EPA and DHA. It's still very expensive. For $28 as a 10-day supply. It's pretty expensive. But if you are a vegan or vegetarian and fish oil is just not something in your radar that you would be interested in doing, there is that option, which is great. Which I love that. I think that's so awesome.
Where does that algae come from?
The ocean. Pretty much.
Is it an American company?
Ovega, yes.
So, okay. So if you want to have a good essential fatty acid oil, then you need to go to a fish oil, or if you go vegan, you're going to go to an algae. So that's really your choice.
Those are the choice. For EPA and DHA supplements, yep.
And the algae is more expensive than the fish oil.
It is, only because it's so much less potent in those omega-3s, so you'd need so much more of it to get the benefit, so that's really why it's just so much more expensive.
Okay.
But that's the way the cookie crumbles.
That's how it
Just
is.
the way it is.
Yeah, well,
But fish oil can, gives your body so many benefits because we need it, and so many of us don't get enough of it. And so
Right.
many of the illnesses in this world, I swear, if people would just supplement with fish oil at the proper dose daily, so many things. I think a lot of inflammation, a lot of pain, even a lot of like skin eruptions. I've seen so many great benefits with my patients from with eczema or psoriasis with taking fish oil and a good probiotic daily, really doing so many wonderful things for their body. It just sort of helps get you back in balance. Just so important.
homeostasis.
Homeostasis. Yes.
Well, the thing about, you now have brought up another subject. These things kind of seg along.
They do.
Psoriasis, eczema.
Mm-hmm.
To my mind, these are two diseases that have they are dependent upon a person who has a lot of anger issues.
Interesting.
When a person comes to my table and they have eczema, as any outbreak of eczema to me represents a temper tantrum.
I mean, I think that I can't really speak to that, to be honest. But I do think that to me, it's an imbalance of some sort. That's how I
Absolutely.
look at it. So, and it usually is one of two things, but I usually would recommend both because it can help so many people. So I usually think it's either a bacterial imbalance in the gut, which can absolutely cause an eruption anywhere in the body. So
And that would be the probiotic.
That would be a probiotic, a specific strain probiotic. And then fish oil also help to reduce inflammation in your body, which can also be a trigger for things along those lines. If you have a lot of inflammation, sometimes you can have these skin outbreaks that are so difficult to treat with anything because we're not treating the root cause. So many of these eczema creams, they can help with relief, but they're not fixing the root cause, which I think a lot of times if you take those things daily, consistently, the right dose, could help. I'm not saying that they will help. They do for a lot of people, but they're not guaranteed to work for everyone, but it can really help.
So you have, for a person with eczema or psoriasis, you have a specific probiotic that you recommend?
I usually recommend a probiotic that we have at the store that I call the Cadillac probiotics. It's from a company called Natron, and Natron to me really understands bacteria and how they work, how they function, how they interact with other bacteria. And so we have it at the store, and usually with somebody like that, I would give them the stronger probiotic for a while to help get everything back in alignment. Because in your gut, it's so easy for the bad bacteria to pretty much overtake the good. It's what we always call the battleground, because
Yes.
it's really what's going on down there. And any bout with stress,
Yes.
or a round of antibiotics, or poor diet can absolutely offset this bacterial balance so easily. So I do think not everybody needs a probiotic daily, but I do think that it would benefit a lot of people. And there's different strains. So Natron, that company, they believe in single strains, meaning they're not throwing 8 and 10 strains of probiotic in there and and making it look so fancy because there's so many different kinds. They really understand that most bacteria compete with each other. It's a battleground in those capsules too. So if you put a few strains together, a lot of times they will fight with each other in there technically. They'll weaken each other, sometimes eliminate the strain. So you see a lot of these probiotics in the market with multiple strains.
Yes.
Most bacteria are competitive with each other, so a lot of times what you're getting is so much less potent than what they're promoting on the label. So I like Natron because they do single strains at a really good price, so you could take multiple strains if you wanted to and still, your wallet would still be happy. And then what's awesome is that this special probiotic that I think is really important, the one I was telling you about, they have a very special fat layer separating 3 strains, 3 very specific strains, so they can't get to each other. To me, that's amazing. It's just amazing. It's an amazing technology, and personally, it's something that I can't go a day without. It's changed my entire life.
So a person comes in with a specific disease or issue. They have a selection of probiotics from which to choose, and you help them.
I do, because why on earth would you know what to pick?
You wouldn't.
You wouldn't, and that's why we're here. We're specially trained to understand what these bacteria have been studied and designed to do, and we can help you figure out what would be the best probiotic cocktail for you, whether it's one, whether it's none, or whether it's a combination of a few.
So you may, what you're telling me is, based on what the person says, you may recommend one bottle of probiotic, or you may recommend 3 or 4.
It could be. Usually if I end up recommending a lot, I'll go with that specific multi-strain. To me, that's the only multi-strain that I feel comfortable recommending, because I know that the bacteria are not able to access each other. So if it comes to it where somebody would need that specific one, I would just recommend that, make it a little bit easier on the customer. But I also figure out what they'll be willing to do. Some people just want to swallow 1 pill a day and won't do any more. Okay, great, no problem. Then we figure out the one that would best benefit you.
And where do you keep these probiotics?
Oh, in the refrigerator, without a doubt. And we really pay a lot of attention to purchase our probiotics direct from the manufacturer, not from a warehouse where they potentially may not be kept cold. I've seen far too often, you go into the store and you see them pulling out these products and putting them on the shelf, and they came from a box that wasn't packed with ice, and they're putting them in the fridge from a box that wasn't cold. And I'm like, to me, bacteria and probiotics need to be manufactured cold, stored cold, shipped cold, kept cold, period. Now there usually is like a week or 2 where they would be okay at room temperature and like the potency wouldn't be lost too much, but who knows how long.
Well, and in the summertime,
right?
So
we honestly go out of our way to get them from the manufacturer and have them shipped today with dry ice packs in a cooler. Like, it's a big deal for us. And as soon as they come to the store, I drop everything and put them away. Even though they're still cold, I drop everything and put them away, because to me it's so important. Why mess with it? And it makes us feel good because we can really just have, I don't know how to say it, we can just feel more confident in the outcome of the probiotic.
So what kinds of issues or diseases or conditions or whatever do people have that would motivate them or motivate you to use a probiotic?
Oh, okay. Absolutely, number 1, GI or gastrointestinal issues. So it could be anything from constipation, diarrhea, gas, bloating, whether it's something that bothers you every day, all day, or if it's something that's just irregular and happens once in a while. People who have celiac disease can definitely benefit from a positive bacterial balance. Crohn's disease, ulcerative colitis, anybody with skin issues. I find, especially kids too, I find especially with younger children who were C-section babies, it's really important to give a probiotic, and a specific strain probiotic, because C-section babies do not travel through the vaginal canal, and they miss out on a lot of actually beneficial bacteria for them in that vaginal canal, which to me is fascinating. So we, and a lot of times we'll find, some C-section babies are great. They have no problems with, eczema or allergies, but a lot of C-section babies do, and they're starting to attribute this to a bacterial imbalance. So that's something I always, recommend for babies. There's a specific balance that we recommend for kids under 5, a specific bacteria for kids under 5. So that's also something that you could recommend. So if your child's having allergies or having, some skin issues, that can also help. Or just diarrhea, constipation, we can definitely help with the little ones especially. But my biggest thing, people coming in, I'm so constipated, I'm going out of my mind. I'm so bloated, I'm in so much pain. So it's something that we can really work with, because some bacteria work in the large intestine and can help to promote regularity. Some people come in with chronic yeast infections. That's also something that's so common. I hear it all the time, and mostly women, but it absolutely can happen in men too. And there's a specific strain that can help with that. Yeast infections, pretty much you can get yeast infections throughout your body, but mostly they'll be in the lady parts. Or sometimes you can have a yeast infection in your mouth, that can happen, or your esophagus. And so there's a certain strain of bacteria that can help to sort of combat that yeast and kind of calm it down. So it's not just flourishing everywhere. If people have urinary tract infections or chronic urinary tract infections, there's also bacteria for that can help. So there's really a plethora of illnesses that are can be affected positively by taking a probiotic. If somebody just comes in and they're like, I'm on my 6th sinus infection in the last 5 months, I'm going insane, there's probiotic that can help your immune function, because they're finding that most of your immune function is stemmed from your bacterial balance in your gut. So if your bacterial balance is in line, chances are your body's going to be able to fight off invaders a lot better. I think this is such a cool topic. It's one of my favorites.
Do people get yeast infections on their skin?
Oh yeah, you can absolutely get a yeast rash. And I've seen it common with patients, especially who have Lyme disease. That's pretty tricky to treat, and they're on very long-term antibiotic use. They're really prone. Anybody on antibiotics is more prone to a yeast infection, but these poor individuals that have to be on long-term antibiotic therapy, I have seen yeast rashes occur, chronic yeast infection in the lady areas. And that can just happen because these antibiotics are allow the yeast to grow and to flourish. So it's so important, especially when you're on antibiotics, to really be on a probiotic. I mean, it's really important, I think.
Wow.
Yes.
Is the probiotics, are they age sensitive?
No.
You mentioned allergies because, you know, in the allergy world, there are a lot of people, there are a lot of allergists who give allergy shots that have been custom designed for the person. And there's this philosophy out there that beyond a certain age, which I think is 50 or something, the allergy shots don't work anymore.
I mean, technically bacteria will work for anybody. As long as you have a functioning gastrointestinal tract, they'll work for anybody. I do think that there are specific, because you had mentioned like the allergy shots would be tailored to a person. I think bacteria can be that way too. If you find somebody, maybe like me, who understands the strains and where they go, what they do, what they've been shown to help, you can go and get something to design just for you. Whether it's a little, you have a child who needs help and they need a specific strain, or yourself, it's important to be able to, tailor fit, because one probiotic is not, it's not one size fits all. It's not, we have probiotics specifically for irritable bowel syndrome, where another strain wouldn't even touch that. So I mean, there's to find somebody who understands that and can really custom fit it for you, you could get so much relief.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, now, let me ask you something. If you talked about Crohn's disease and celiac disease, do they still take out pieces of the intestine for that?
Generally not so much with celiac, but you do see it sometimes with Crohn's and even with ulcerative colitis. Sometimes you have to, and that's really hard. You have the problem of potentially not absorbing some nutrients that would normally have been absorbed in that spot in the intestine. So you have a lot of times issues with that, so you want to make sure you're taking a really good whole food supplement, maybe with food only, that can really help to just make sure your body's getting exactly what it needs. But yeah, it's definitely an unfortunate side effect for some people that they may have to have a resection of their intestines, but some people don't have to. But it can be pretty harsh. It's sad for me when I see somebody have to go through that.
Yes.
Yeah, so when that happens, I mean, especially with those two things, I really try and have them on a probiotic, on fish oil to help reduce inflammation, and on coconut oil. Coconut oil is the most anti-inflammatory fat for your GI tract. It's very soothing. It can help your villi be strong, and your villi are like, I call them like the little fingers in your intestines. They really are pulling in like the nutrients from the food. They can help your villi to be as strong as they can. So those are the three things I would usually recommend for someone who's going through some of these really intense GI illnesses.
Well, let's talk about the coconut oil for a while. Coconut oil at room temperature is a solid.
It is. It's a saturated fat.
So how do you use it?
Oh, I love this topic. I use it all the time, so I could talk about this for a while. So coconut oil can be used internally as a food and for therapeutic reasons as well. It can also be used externally, so you can use it to soothe, eczema or dry skin.
But now if you use it internally, how do you do that?
So you can just pop a tablespoonful of it if you can do that. Some people just can't handle that texture.
That is crunchy.
It's not necessarily crunchy, but it's kind of waxy.
Yes.
Candle-like.
Okay, that's candle-like.
And it's weird because it will sort of melt on it. I tried this because I wanted to know. I have this thing. I need to try things that I recommend, because if it's horrible, I'm not going to recommend it anymore. So I did have trouble with it because it sort of like melts as it's going down, because coconut oil will melt at 76 degrees. So it melts as it's going down. It's weird. It's just weird. And then you have like a fatty like coating in your mouth, but some people don't mind. One of my favorite things to do, I have a few different, but I love those sprouted whole grain toasts or breads that you can get in the freezer.
Yes.
So I love those because there's no flour in them, so I think that they're much harder for your body to break down, which is good. So I love to make toast and spread coconut oil on top.
Okay.
I think that tastes really good instead of butter. You could use the coconut oil because it'll melt and it'll be delicious.
And you like the flavor of the coconut oil and the taste?
I love coconut. We do have one at the store. Uses a different type of coconut. It doesn't even taste like coconut. So for people that just hate that flavor, we have something for them too. And I'll use that specific one to saute kale, or if I'm making pancakes, my 4-year-old just obsessed with pancakes, so we do this sometimes. Make pancakes, I will saute the pancakes in the coconut oil, and you can't taste it, but at least you're getting, some coconut oil in. My other favorite thing to do is air pop popcorn, and instead of drizzling butter on top, put a little coconut oil that's been melted around with a little bit of sea salt, or some sort of salt that you like. It's so good. So good.
Okay.
So coconut oil on popcorn is like the best. It's delicious.
Okay.
You could add it to a smoothie. You can bake with it. There's so many different things you can do with it. You don't just have to swallow it, down.
So if you're going to add it to a smoothie, like in my protein drink, it has a tendency to solidify.
That's the coconut.
Kinda,
It can.
yeah.
It can. Honestly, if you're going to do it, I would do it in a drink where you're going to drink it right away. And also if you use like a really high-powered blender, because it can be chunky that way. Because if it gets cold, if you're putting ice in there, it will solidify.
Yes.
Yeah. So like I do it. I put it in my smoothies, but my blender's one of those really high-powered ones, and it sort of makes the molecules so small that it takes a while. And I haven't had that issue, but I do hear that a lot. So then you could do it another way.
There are other things you can
Put it
do.
on some popcorn, swallow it down.
How much do
Mix
you
it into
need
your
to?
yogurt.
How much of coconut oil do you need to take in a day?
Oh, everybody's different, and you may not even want to take it or need to. But if somebody's having GI issues, like stomach issues, I usually recommend like 1 or 2 tablespoons a day. But just remember, it's a fat, and I love fat. I honestly think we don't eat enough of the right kind of fats in this country, like not even at all, because the word fat in food means the same thing as an overweight person in our society in slang, and I hate that because we, correlate the word fat in our food to making us fat, which is not the case.
Right.
But so I would say 1 to 2 tablespoons, but remember that there are calories. I mean, fat does have higher calories, so just, maybe accommodate for that later on in your other meals, because if you just start adding in tablespoons of fat, yes, you could potentially put on some weight, which is going to happen.
Well, now that we're talking about that,
Yeah.
the essential fatty acid oils, they're calorific as well.
They are. Absolutely. There are more concentrated versions. So we have one that's around 100 calories for the serving. We have some that are around 45 calories for the serving. And it's just more concentrated, so you take less. So we have one where we recommend a tablespoon, and we have one where we recommend a teaspoon. And it gives you the same amount of essential fatty acids, omega-3s. It's just more concentrated, so you have less calories. So if you're concerned about that, we've got it.
Wow.
Yep.
So there are in every product that you discuss, there are all these different options.
We really try. We really try, because to me, the most important things about supplements is consistency and taking it at the right dose. If you're not going to do something every day and at the right dose, I sometimes tell people don't buy it then.
Right.
So what's the point of wasting your money on something it's not going to work if you're not going to take it every day, and if you're not going to, why do it?
Right.
So if we can make things and tailor our supplements to exactly what you might need or what would be best for your lifestyle, the better chance you have of doing well with it. And that's what we want. I mean, I don't want anybody wasting money. One of the things we do at the Apothecary is supplement reviews, because I find so many people just walk into the stores and just buy these things that they think are good for them, and then they end up with 20 supplements in their basket and just have no idea what to do. So we have people come in with their supplements, put them on the table, and we go through, what are your goals? What would you like to have happen? We lay them out, and then we go through the supplements. Is this the proper form for you? Is this a big marketing scam? All these types of things. And a lot of times my goal is to pare it down. Get rid of the riffraff, get down to the things that really are going to be the most beneficial, because I find the less amount of supplements you take, the chances of your consistency are much greater.
That's
and your
true.
compliance. And that's my theory, and it seems to be working for a lot of our customers, because a lot of times we don't need many supplements. We just don't.
Right. So people can bring in a bag of their supplements.
Yes, this is one of my most favorite things to do when somebody does that. So, I mean, we offer free counseling all the time. We can talk about diet, lifestyle, stress. That's great. But we also do supplement review, and a lot of times that'll all be included in the full package, that I call it. But you could just do supplement stuff. So you could bring in, I've literally had people bring in garbage bags of supplements that they've had sitting around, not sure if it's good, if it's bad. This was the buy one, get one free herb at this specific store. Is it good, or is it, you try and help them figure out, well, this one's been tested for a bunch of contamination, so probably wouldn't recommend that one. Or this is exactly right. This would be a dose that would give you the beneficial outcomes that we see in the clinical studies. So we really try and help them figure out what's what, is it the right thing for them, and a lot of times we can pare a lot of it down, which is good. You know, just to have all this stuff can just sometimes stress people out, not sure what to take, so I'm taking anything.
Well, and then you not only have the supplements, you know, the vitamins and the minerals, but when you start doing herbs, and then in your store you have the essential oils,
Mm-hmm.
and then you have your flower. Do you sell the flower remedies?
We actually are eliminating all homeopathy and flower essences in our store, so they're all in clearance right now. If
Oh,
anyone wants
really?
them. Mm-hmm. Only because, and I'll explain why, for all of the other products in our store, so say fish oil or probiotics or supplements like whole food vitamins, whole food supplements, all these things, we have such strict standards, much more strict than many stores that carry supplements. And we want them to meet these certain criteria. So we decided with the homeopathy and the flower essences, they should meet that criteria as well. So when we compared them with what we would expect from other things, we realized that they didn't measure up, and we didn't feel comfortable selling something that we didn't strongly believe in. So because of that, and it could potentially be a controversial thing, I get that, we are discontinuing homeopathy and the flower essences from the store, so they're on clearance if anybody wants any.
What about the essential oils?
Oh, we'll keep those, just because they're not something that really people ought to take internally, and the aromatherapy can be very beneficial for a lot of people. But just with the homeopathy, since so much of it, there's not any actual active ingredient in there, it just felt a little misleading, and as far as we were concerned with our standards, we didn't want to partake in that. Because if anybody came in and asked us what we thought of it, we'd tell them, you know, we'd say, like, all right, there's actually not anything really in here anymore. And then we were like, well, what are we doing? Why do we have it? So we were doing our standards for a lot of different topics, and that came up, and we hemmed and hawed, and we decided that it wasn't, you know, why should we don't want to carry something that we don't necessarily stand behind.
Well, and in your store also, you just don't have that much room.
We sure don't.
You
It's a
have
tiny
to-
little cozy store.
Yeah, you have to. One of the things that I did notice in your store is you have a lot of products for gums and teeth.
We do.
How do you choose? How does a person choose what you should use for your gums and your teeth?
Everybody's different
Right.
with what they need. Some people have trouble with gingivitis, some people are having, you know, plaque, cavities, that type of thing. So, I mean, generally we would rather somebody not use, you know, all the chemical-laden things. We want to keep it as low chemical as possible. Get rid of those food dyes and the mouthwash, that type of thing. We do carry some of that stuff in our pharmacy section, but generally we really just kind of help you figure out. A lot of times we work with dentists too. So, like, for example, Tischler Dental sends a lot of their customers or patients to us to help formulate specific remedies for their gums. So a lot of people will take myrrh gum and mix it with benzoin for gum issues as well, and we help them do that. We have the products there for it. So we kind of work with some local area doctors too to sort of figure out what works best for everybody, which is really nice. We have a really good relationship with a lot of the local practitioners, dentists and otherwise, which is great.
Well, you have in Saugerties, isn't that where you have a formulary?
Yeah, so in our Saugerties location, it's called Village Apothecary, right in the middle of town in Saugerties, we have a compounding lab where we can actually work with your doctor. So say something was prescribed for you that wasn't actually like an everyday made prescription drug, or you needed something made for your dog who wouldn't take it, so you needed it to be flavored with something and specially formulated for your dog, or you needed bioidentical hormones specifically made for you. We have a compounding lab in Saugerties, and they're hard to find, they're not everywhere, where we can work with your doctor and figure out your prescription and actually custom make that medication for you, which is awesome.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Pretty
It's
awesome.
very
And
nice.
it's so nice to have one locally because they're not easily found. It's not something that you find all the time, and it's something that we're so proud to have. And they, you know, we follow such strict standards there, and you know, it's just a really awesome resource to have in this area. We're very lucky.
Well, one thing I did notice in your facility, as small as it is, you have pet food.
Oh my gosh, we do. And this can be controversial too.
Oh, can it really?
Yes. And so I'm a registered dietitian, which means I've studied human nutrition, right? So this has been something that I've only taken part of since coming into the store. which was last October, so it's been over a year now, and I am blown away by how awesome this is. So our pet food that we carry in the store, we carry 2 brands, and both of them focus on the philosophy that dogs and cats are carnivores. So, most of the food on the market today, especially kibbles, are loaded with starch or tons of fiber, fruits and vegetables, and dogs and cats do not really have the digestive tract for this. It's too short to allow for the fermentation process. A lot of these starches and fruits and vegetables change the pH, so the digestion process gets off, and so many things can happen. We see so many problems with joint pain and arthritis with these animals, and usually it's because of their diet. So we have a whole selection of pet food that is available that is carnivore based. So very little, if no starch, no fiber at all, and mostly muscle meat and organ meat and fat. That's really what these animals need. And I know a lot of us think whatever's healthy for us is going to be healthy for our pets, because we're all living beings, but they have a much different anatomy than we do. So this is really, really fun. And I've seen so many animals just thrive where before they were just barely surviving. And it's just so fun to see an animal go through this transition of starting to feel good again. So it's pretty cool. And we have a veterinarian who runs the one company out of Poughkeepsie. He comes in and he specially trains us, because I didn't want to just learn from the back of a box or a website. I wanted to learn. So he's come in and trained me many times about the specific philosophy and why it works and how it works. And it's been really eye-opening to me. And I don't have a pet, someday I'd like to, and I'm so happy that I can learn this now so that my pet from the a young age would be able to grow up as healthy as possible, eating the right food. Because we feed ourselves the right, we try to feed ourselves the right food. We want to feed our animals the right food too,
What are the brand names that you have?
We sell Abity, which is out of Poughkeepsie, which is pretty cool. It's a local company, but they sell everywhere. And that's what's nice. That's one of the veterinarian for that company. He comes and trains us, and it's just so much fun to learn and understand how animals are so different from us. And then we also carry a company called Ziwi Peak, which is out of New Zealand, and they do air-dried meats. So it's dry, so you can easily put it and be portable with it, put it in a bowl, and not have to do the can and put the can in the fridge and all that stuff, but yet it's still carnivore-based. And we also have frozen food, too, for cats and dogs.
Is Abity for cats as well as dogs?
Mm-hmm. They have a whole selection for cats. They have a whole selection for dogs.
Wow.
And so does Ziwi Peak.
My training is that cats are carnivores and dogs are omnivores. But they do require a lot of protein until they get older, and then once they get older, they require less protein. But I do think that there is an awful lot of bad dog food out there. There's an awful lot of bad dog food.
And that's definitely true. Cats should be carnivores only.
Right.
Where dogs can, tolerate some white rice.
Right.
And certain things, but it's really limited. So a lot of these, fibers and these high starch contents of these kibbles, they just don't have what it takes to do, to tolerate these things,
It's
they'll live, but I
Yeah.
personally think your animal could be just thriving so much better with the right kind of food. Absolutely.
Yes. And so nutrition for the pet is so important.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you one other thing. You also have some cosmetics over there in your store. What do you carry? You carry Dr. Hauschka, and do you carry, and who else?
As far as cosmetics, makeup, we just carry Dr. Hauschka. But as far as skincare, our biggest companies are Dr. Hauschka and Weleda. And they're both from Germany. And they're both botanical based, actually no chemicals, which is amazing. To me, Dr. Hauschka is one of the most amazing companies I've ever seen, and I'm going to be honest, I am a real deal product junkie. I've tried everything. I try everything for a week, and I don't like it. I find something else. I always want to try what's new on the market. It's just who I am. It's just the way that I've always been, and I've never stuck with a company as long as I have with Dr. Hauschka. It's been over a year, and I'm just I don't ever want to leave. Because it's unbelievable to find a company that has no additives, no parabens, pretty much botanical essential oil based, and so strong in their philosophy, and the products work. Usually you have a healthy, clean company, but the products don't do anything.
Right.
Or and you have the companies where you get these results that maybe are good on the outside, but they're hurting your inside with all these chemicals. So to find something that works both ways, personally, as a product junkie, I'm overjoyed. So I'm thrilled.
Where does Walita fit into this?
So Weleda is also extremely clean company. They're a little bit less priced than Dr. Hauschka. So it's kind of nice to have two different price sets for a very clean skincare, which is very nice. So Weleda has some amazing like massage oils and awesome moisturizing body lotions, and they have a full skincare line. And they have what I really love is they have a beautiful baby line, which Dr. Hauschka does not have, and it's calendula based, very soothing on the skin, and they have so many different products that can make your child's skin clean, moisturized, healthy without all those extra chemicals.
That brings up a whole other subject.
Sure.
We haven't spoken about babies. I know, the way that babies were taken care of when I took care of them. That's the dark ages. They don't do any of that anymore. But what do you do? What do you do for diaper rash now? I know babies get diaper rash.
Oh, they do. Oh.
What do you do for that now?
They do. Well, there's a lot of different things. Technically, if you wanted to treat a diaper rash, because a lot of times a lot of these diaper creams are just skin protectants. So what they do is they're like a barrier from all that moisture that's in the diaper, and that can help to prevent it. But once they actually have it, we want to see if it's, usually I would use like the calendula diaper rash cream from Weleda, just because it's so soothing for the little ones, especially if it's kind of cool. It's not like if I actually keep it cool because it actually can soothe their skin. One of the things I really recommend for diaper rash a lot is just airing out the baby's bottom.
Yes.
So taking the risk and not putting a diaper on for a little while. And also checking too to see if it's fungal. A lot of times these diaper rashes can be fungal because these diapers create a dark, moist environment perfect for yeast to grow. So if that's the case, then we would you'd have to talk to your doctor and figure out what's happening, why that's happening. But there are some very, very soothing products out there that won't give your baby a ton of chemicals and still provide a lot of relief.
So you can just go in and get a Weleda product?
Sure. We can sort of talk about how long it's been going on. Is it bleeding? Is it really rough? And we can sort of figure out maybe what to try. And we also have a pharmacist on staff who can help as well, trying to figure out what would be the best option for your little one, which is great. I love that. I love having the team that we have in our store. So it's not just somebody who's just been training for a little while. We have, pharmacists that have been doing, their work for years, and dietitians and people that have been trained for years to really understand science, how chemicals work together, all of these things.
Do you have a shampoo and a soap that you can recommend for babies?
Honestly, I really do love the Weleda line.
Really?
I haven't found anything they have better than it. They have a shampoo and body wash for babies. They have skin moisturizer. They have face cream. They have a weather protecting cream. If it's really harsh outside, you put it on your baby as a skin protectant. They have oil. They have the whole thing. So for babies, I absolutely love this line. It's not crazy expensive, which is, nice. Babies go through a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I really do like it. It's just my favorite. It's my favorite one that I've found so far.
That's wonderful.
Yeah.
So there is something in your store
Yes.
for everyone.
Yes.
Do you have a vitamin for pets?
We do. First thing we do try and talk about what the food that they're eating is, because a lot of times if you're feeding your animal the proper food, they won't need an extra supplement. But if you're not willing to change the food, we absolutely have omega-3 fatty acids from fish oil for dogs. We have specific other oils that they may need. We have bone meal replacers. We have other supplements just for dogs, absolutely, and cats.
Do you have any, when you talk about supplements, do you have any supplements that are aimed at helping the arthritic dog?
Absolutely, I put them on fish oil.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
What about a human with arthritis?
Fish oil.
So what you're saying is
Yeah.
that our diet contributes to the arthritis.
I do believe so, absolutely. And so I do recommend the fish oil because it can just help to bring down the inflammation. It actually can even help with like lubrication again of the joints. If you're really having bone on bone, it's not like going to guarantee to work, but it really can help. And then we have this whole food supplement called Inflaplex. And it's just different foods that have been formulated to be really awesome for reducing inflammation and actually getting to the site and providing the nutrients that site needs to heal, which is way better and way different to me than turmeric or any boswellia or any of these supplements that are pretty much like natural Advil. They sort of put the Band-Aid on the bullet hole.
Right.
So to me, if somebody comes in with really horrible joint pain, I would absolutely go high dose fish oil and this Infoplex. It's just a 1-2 punch. That's awesome.
Now, the high dose fish oil and the Infoplex would be good for arthritis.
Yes.
But inflammation, is arthritic inflammation the same thing as gum inflammation?
Inflammation is inflammation, and it can occur anywhere in your body. It can occur in your joints, it can occur in your gums, it can occur on your skin. And the whole point of these two supplements is to reduce that inflammation. So if somebody's having chronic inflammation anywhere, both of them can help that. It's not just arthritis, it's really just inflammation.
Now, what is the name of this product again?
Well, one's a fish oil, and the other one is called Infoplex.
Infoplex.
Yep, and I can absolutely help you with that when you
No.
come in the store. It's not vegetarian, I will say. There are some grass-fed cow glandulars in there that have been formulated to really help with this particular.
So if you have, because what I have been reading is that gum inflammation is like, if what I've read is correct, way over 50% of the people have gum inflammation.
Yeah, that's true. We don't take care of our teeth like we're supposed to, and then a lot of times once we realize that, it can be a little bit too late. You
Right.
know, with the flossing and the brushing and all those things properly.
So you take this product. Is this in addition? We are out of time. Oh my goodness. Well, thank you so much for coming. This was
Thank
great.
you. Thanks for having me.
We'll see you next time.
Okay.
Oh my God. This was fabulous.